Bill said, my name's Jerome Nesmith. I'm from Oklahoma. I'm going to tell you about my story, where I come from. I'm going to skip the whole growing up stuff. I'm going to kind of show you how I went from a Dean's List honor roll college student in the 20s to broke, living with my sister with an allowance at 31, and show you how it was not my fault at all. Okay? So when I was in my first 2 years of college, I didn't have any specific career goal in mind. So I said, well, you got to take all these general courses anyway. So I just took general courses. In the meantime, I concentrated on bodybuilding. And it didn't matter what was going on in my life. I had to get to my workout. My girlfriend go, I'm leaving. You're like, okay, but I got to go to the gym. I'll tell you later. And then after 2 years of school, I decided I wanted to go to medical school. So I decided I was going to get a biology and chemistry degree. So I went on and I got my grades. I got my 4-point averages with taking nothing but my core courses. Then I went to medical school. Well, that didn't work out too well. After about a year, I got to an argument with the dean, and then I was out. And that was kind of a big blow. So I'm going, well, what do I do now? So I decided I wanted to go to graduate school. I wanted to be a research professor at a university. So I went to OU, talked to some guys there, got set up with a professor, got into graduate school, but then they weren't taking on any students. So I had to move to Tyler, Texas to get a major professor to get my degree. So I went down there and worked on my degree. I was a teaching assistant, and I taught a physiology lab to nursing students, which was, that's my first experience with talking. So about come along a couple years later, I'm in my last semester, and I had to go take my orals. And I passed my oral exams for my graduate degree, and then I started working on my thesis. Well, come to find out, my TA runs out then, so now I got to find a job and work on my thesis. So I get a temporary job in a lab, so it kind of keeps me in the field while I'm writing my thesis. And this is where it all starts, where my whole bad luck kind of swoops over my head. Well, we'll call it bad luck. We can have a whole discussion on whether luck's bad or good and what it really is, but that's not for the day. So in November of '96, my mom died. That's pretty big blow. I was really close to my mom. And I remember it was December. I was at work on the 23rd, getting ready, got out of the office, and go home and see my dad, because it was his first Christmas without mom. And the guy in pain to take care of my horse calls me and goes, your horse just got run over. I'm like going, really? So I get that taken care of on Christmas Eve. I'm taking care of my dead horse, and I go home, spend time with my dad. A couple months later, I'm back to working on my thesis, and I'm typing it up, and my computer crashes. Eats all my thesis, all my data. But I'm at a good point. There's some good stuff too. I got hired on full time at the lab I was working in, so I got a raise. So by the time I get hired on full time, my car starts making this dinging noise. I'm like, God, got a bent rod in there somewhere. So I find a truck that I'm going to trade it on. So I'm on my way to the dealership. I'm cruising out with my car. All of a sudden I hear this big noise. Car dies. So I get my stuff. I get out and I walk away. My car's on fire. So there's a big fire. I'm like, well, that's not good. I might talk to the fireman later. He goes, do you always lock your door when your car's on fire? So I didn't realize it was on fire when I got out. I was just locking it so nobody would get in it. So I was like, well, I didn't know it was on fire. But so I called my dad. My dad comes down. He helps me and we get the truck. He helps me get a down payment because obviously I burnt my car up. They don't give you a whole lot for that. So I get the truck. I'm at work. And I go to, about 2 months later, I go to work and the door's locked. I'm like, are you kidding me? I go home. I call my friend. She goes, did you not get the letter? So they just shut down the lab I was working in. I'm like, man, this can't get any worse, can it? Like, so after looking for jobs, applying for jobs, I ended up broke in Texas. My sister said, hey, why don't you come out here to North Carolina? Get a fresh start. Like, well, it can't get any worse. Right? So I go to Oklahoma. I convinced my brother to take care of my animals, see, because I had snakes and lizards, and my sister didn't want any of that in her house. So my brother, he said he'd take care of them. So I drive up, it's about a 5-hour drive to Lawton. I take them to my brother's house, and I'm driving home in the rainstorm in Dallas, and my truck spins out and smash into the concrete train wall. 2 days before I'm supposed to move to North Carolina. I'm like going, oh my goodness. So end up out here in North Carolina, but my dad's truck that I get to borrow, my brother hauled my horse out here for me. So after a couple years of being here, I lost a job, and a friend of mine hired me on for him. And now, I always had an excuse because it's not my fault. I mean, look what I've been through. I mean, nobody can live through this. This is not my fault. So I'm sitting in his office one day, probably one day when I was late, and he's going, what is it you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to go? So I sat back and I thought for the first time in my life, I had no idea. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was focused on bodybuilding. I was focused on going to medical school. I was focused on being a professor. I had school. Didn't matter what happened in my life, I always got right back to what I wanted to do. And then I didn't know. All of a sudden, I just don't know. So I'm going on. We're talking a little bit more. I'm telling him all this. I just can't get rid of this bad luck. It's just hanging on me like a cloud. And he looks at me and says, sometimes you got to make your own luck. So it just kind of hits me for a minute. I'm thinking, what does that mean? And for me, it ends up meaning that sometimes you got to take responsibility for where you are in life. You can't go through life going, I'm just unlucky. No. Everybody is where they're at, like it or not, because of the decisions they make in their life. Good ones, bad ones, it all comes down to you. So later on I learned this concept that, the same wind blows on us all. Bill's subject to the same things I'm subject to, we're all the same. So the difference in arrival to where you want to be, whether it be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, is the set of your sail. A good example of that is the America's Cup. I don't know if you'll know what the America's Cup is, but it's a boat race where the boats are powered nothing but by wind. Now they all race the same boat, and they race on the same body of water, and they all have the same wind. Somebody comes in first, somebody comes in last. The difference is, of course, the set of their sail. So you learn to set yourself good enough, you can write a book and have it be a bestseller in under 6 hours. So let's take a look for a minute at some of the things that happened in my life. You can look at the things that happen in your life. Everything boils down to basically two different things. Things you can't control and things you can. So I'm going to start with the things you can't control first. For me, you can insert your own personal disaster in this. The first one was my mom. There's nothing I can do about that. My horse, that's questionable. Probably if I'd have judged the person that I was paying to take care of him a little better, maybe I wouldn't have been in that situation. But I didn't know any better, so we're going to say that's out of my control. And third would be my job. They just closed down the plant on me. There's nothing I can do about that. All right, so we're back in our boat. We're sailing on. We got our sail set. We're good to go. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a humpback whale breaches and just destroys our boat. Now, we're all human, so we're going to give you a minute to lay in the water and go, what just happened? But then you got to start making choices. Are you just going to give up and drown? Are you going to float and see where the current carries you? Or are you going to wait for somebody else and get in their boat and go whatever it is they're going? Or do you swim back and get another boat and start going where you're going? The next category is things that are in your control. This is where it gets kind of interesting. Let's start with my thesis being my computer crashing. You think a smart college guy like me, 4-point average, could know to back up his stuff along the way and save it so that when your computer crashes, you don't lose everything. Then there's my car catching fire. Maybe, just maybe, if I'd kept the oil in that thing, I wouldn't have bent a rod and thrown it through the side and caught it on fire. And then my wreck in my truck. I was going to get tires, so I went to North Carolina, but I figured I could just scoot up to Oklahoma real quick and come back. Maybe if I had had ball tires on the back of my truck, I wouldn't have smashed it into the side of the wall. So it started to look less and less like bad luck and more like bad decisions. So all that happened, and there was more, but that was my fault. So we're back in our boat again. I like examples, so we're going to go to the sailboat example again. All right? So you're sailing down the way. You got your sail set. You're going where you want to go. And all of a sudden the wind changes, and bam, you're in the rocks. So you're enthusiastic. You want to go. So you get another boat and you do it again. You got your sails. You're going where the wind changes, and bam, you're in the rocks. So now you got decisions to make here too. You can go, man, I can make it, but the wind just keeps changing and blowing me in the rocks. It's not my fault. The wind keeps changing on me. So you can stay there and be whatever it is you want to be right there at that point. Or you can go get you another boat and not only learn to set your sails, but maybe I'll learn to be able to adjust them when the wind changes. Because the wind's going to change. It's never going to stay the same. You've got to constantly set your sail. I also want to talk a little bit about ants. No, not your mom's sister or your dad's sister, but the little guys that crawl on the ground. Because ants have kind of got a little unique philosophy about things. Well, next time, you can try this at home, or if you don't have ants at your house, buy ants at mine, but next time you're out and about in the woods and you see some ants walking in a line, put a stick in front of them, or a rock or something. Just block their path. The ants just don't go, man, what do we do now? They don't turn around and walk back the other way. An ant starts finding a way around this object to where he's going to get to where he's going. The ants don't care which way the wind blows, and they don't let life get in their way. Because everybody goes, well, life got on the way, I had to put that on the back burner. What happens to things on the back burner? You forget they're there. So now there's all things you've got to deal with. Like Bill said, there's things that are urgent and they're important. You've got to deal with them now. But you've got to remember the reason you're dealing with these things is so you can get to where you want to go. If you lose focus on your goal, pretty soon you just don't have a goal at all. Put it on the back burner and forget about it. I got to handle this stuff now. But really, just handle this stuff now so I can get there. So when things happen to you, you kind of got to recognize, is it in my control or is it not? And it was pretty tough for me to sit there and go, yeah, that was really kind of my fault. I mean, it was tough because nothing was my fault. You can ask my wife when she first met me. I never lost confidence. I just had no focus, and nothing was my fault. So it took a while to get hold of that. So I want to promise you something. I guarantee you it is impossible, I mean impossible, to focus on your goals and your destination when you have no idea what they are. That's it.